This is CBC Here and Now.
If you want to be critical of the government, then I think you have to put your voice forward in terms of casting a vote.
Marking their X, as many as 10,000 Newfoundlanders get to issue a report card on the Ball government.
And in a few hours, we'll know where the people of Topsail Paradise stand just 9 months before a full province-wide election. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes.
And I'm Anthony Germain. Well, let's get right to our top story, the by-election in Topsail Paradise. With only 2 hours to go before the polls close, we have in-depth coverage for you this evening. Here and Now's Mark Quinn and Terry Roberts. They are in the district, talking to candidates and to voters, gauging the mood there.
And from the looks of it, a good turnout so far today. This by-election was called to replace Paul Davis. The former premier retired from politics back in the fall. In the last general election in 2015, the PCs won with nearly 60% of the vote. So the big question tonight is, what message will the district send the Ball government?
All right, politics. Let's start with the Tory campaign, which Terry Roberts is covering for us this evening. So, Terry, tell us about the party's candidate who hopes to fill former PC Premier Paul Davis's shoes tonight.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. We have one Paul, Paul Davis, hoping to go to another Paul, Paul Dinn. Paul Dinn is a town councillor in the town of Paradise. Been doing that now for several years, but he's also not unknown to government. He was in government as a bureaucrat, had a full career there, almost 30 years, reached the level of director, but not long ago, of course, in the downsizing with Dwight Ball and his Liberals, well, Paul Dinn was one of those caught up in that downsizing. He lost his job, so he's looking to get back into government, this time in elected politics. Now, I'm at the SUF Lodge here in Topsail today, and I think if the Lodge was a convenience store, we might be doing okay because people have been trickling back and forth here all day. But we're not selling chips and drinks. We're trying to market democracy. And if I were democracy, I'd feel like I was being insolvent today because it's been really slow. One of the polling stations in there, they've had about 25 to 30 people. That's since 8 o'clock this morning. Now, I did speak to a few voters earlier, and here's some of what they had to say.
Our last candidate did a very good job, and it was nice to see him retire. And we're just participating in the elections, so just come down and exercise my right to vote.
Well, we feel it's important for the young ones to know the importance of voting. So from them having the experiences when they're young, I think will lead them into the future.
Because I think it's important to vote. I mean, I think if you want to be critical of the government, then I think you have to put your voice forward in terms of casting a vote. And I just think it's an important civic duty.
Now, this is the Tories' seat to lose here tonight because they've been a juggernaut in this area for a long time. But even if the Liberals do lose tonight, it's not going to mean really a big difference. You don't expect the government to topple or anything like that. The Liberals do have 27 of 40 seats, so they still have a strong majority. But keep in mind that the Tories have already won 2 consecutive by-elections, looking to make it 3 here tonight. Now I'm going to move it over to my colleague, Mark Quinn, who's in Paradise.
Thank you, Terry. Yes, of course, I've been focusing on the Liberals here in Paradise at Octagon Elementary, where the polling stations are as well. And it's been quite busy here. Actually, I'm told there have been more than 450 people who've cast their ballots here. And this is a by-election, so they don't expect much more than, say, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people of the 11,000 people who are eligible to vote to actually cast their votes. They're saying maybe 40% would be good. I know we got more in the last by-election, but that was a by-election that included the leader of the Conservatives, Ches Crosby. But of course, the Liberal candidate here is Patricia Hines Coates, and people will know her from her work with the Mothers Against Drug Driving. She became the president and worked her way through that organization. She said her term was ending just when this by-election was being called, and said it was a good move for her to move into provincial politics, and she is hoping to make some headway here. Of course, as you said, this area has been held by the Conservatives for a long time, at least more than a decade. The last time a Liberal won here was in 2003. That was Ralph Wiseman. So the Liberals, if they do win, this would be a big win for them and maybe give them some momentum going into this provincial election that we're expecting later this year. But so far, we are seeing more people trickling in. They're expecting a pretty good turnout here. And we'll be heading over to the headquarters of the Liberals after 8 o'clock when the polls close. So we'll see what we can hear from the maybe the winner then, or maybe not the winner. We'll know after 8. Back to you.
Thanks, Mark. Well, the NDP candidate in this by-election is Kathleen Burt. You can see her casting her own ballot this afternoon in Paradise. Burt is a community activist, a volunteer, former teacher, and college instructor. She's been campaigning with NDP leader Jerry Rogers.
Well, what's at stake in this by-election for the parties? We're going to explore that topic tonight with 3 representatives from each party, and that's coming up in about 30 minutes. So stay tuned for the talk. And for complete results tonight and see who's winning and maybe some surprises, you can go to our website later on, cbc.ca/NL.
It's a sight for the skating lover's eye. The Badger Arena is back in service. I'll have that story for you coming up on Here and Now.
Well, you see these warm temperatures in the single digits on the plus side of the mercury, they're headed our way as we head through the night tonight. And with that, we're going to see a changeover from the snow that's falling right now into into rain rather, through some freezing rain through the overnight. Now, we're looking at some heavy snow through parts of Labrador as well. And then rain along the south coast, heavy at times through the night tonight. We've got a couple of wind warnings and rainfall warnings in place. I'll have all the details in your full forecast when I come back. Anthony?
Thank you, Ashley. The case of the teenage boy in Stephenville who had been accused of several sexual assaults against girls is close to an end. The teen was acquitted in 2 trials last year, but he's pleaded guilty to sexual interference in the case before the court now. Today, both he and the victim's mother had their chances to speak. Here Now's Lindsay Bird reports.
The mother of the teenage girl told the court this morning of the heartbreak and worry she has felt since these court proceedings began. Her daughter and the male teenager were students at Stephenville High at the time of the incident. The mother read her victim impact statement. She said their world was turned upside down and that her daughter has had to deal with anxiety and negative comments at school and in the community. The male teenager also spoke to the court today. He was removed from school and has been living under strict conditions. He said he already has lost a year of his life and doesn't want to lose another one. The lawyer for the Crown asked the judge to put the teen on probation for 1 to 2 years. The boy's defense lawyer asked for an absolute discharge. Both sides noted the boy has shown remorse for his actions. He'll be sentenced at the end of February. Lindsay Bird, CBC News, Stephenville.
4 children traveling on a snowmobile were injured in a crash in Natwashish last night. According to police, a 10-year-old driver hit an SUV. The driver and 3 young passengers were sent to the clinic with non-life-threatening injuries, though one was airlifted to hospital in Happy Valley Goose Bay. It's illegal for anyone under the age of 13 to operate a snowmobile unless accompanied by an adult. The RCMP is investigating the crash.
A man convicted of killing his common-law wife almost 25 years ago has been granted bail by a BC Supreme Court judge, and now he will be coming to this province to live with his father. Wade Skiffington has maintained his innocence in the 1994 murder of Wanda Martin in Richmond. That young woman was found dead in an apartment with her young son, and she had been shot 6 times. Skiffington was found guilty based on a confession to undercover police as part of a so-called Mr. Big operation. Now, a court has ordered him free on bail while the federal justice minister investigates whether he was wrongfully convicted. The judge today said Skiffington would have been released on parole 4 years ago had he not continued to proclaim his innocence. Skiffington will now return home to Newfoundland to live with his father in Paradise.
Well, after a 10-year absence, skating and hockey are back in Badger. A natural ice surface has been installed in the town's old arena, an arena that was destroyed by flooding in 2003. As CBC's Garrett Berry explains, it's stirring up a lot of memories.
Isn't this a sight for sore eyes? It's been a decade, but the familiar sounds of winter are back.
And where we're standing right now, I got something to tell you. Notice the glass is low.
And so are the stories.
And Ross Kennedy went in and he intercepted the pass right here and he went in and he made a dig.
And his pass is intercepted by Ross Kennedy. They got it all over. Ross Kennedy! And the Bombers have won the Hurling Memorial Trophy!
When that puck slid in under Tony Walsh, the place exploded. We made history for a small community of 800 people. This stadium the roof never come right off it.
From one generation to the next. The only difference? They are on natural ice. The key to the natural ice is just how cold it is here. Yes, I am inside, and yes, it is frigid. But still, it's not enough just to sit and wait for the ice to form. No, it's a lot of work to end up with an arena like this. The man who makes it all happen, a bit too shy for our camera, but he gets plenty of praise.
Like if it was a cold day, he'd come in the day. And if it was a really cold night, he probably could come back again, probably 11 o'clock that night, and give it another shadow at her.
There's 15 hours of ice time a week. Big deal in a small town.
This is only a small community. There's not a big lot here. So this is one of the places now that we can go, and now we can run this all year round. We got ice here now. That's something that they said couldn't be done.
You might ask, why did it go away? Flooding in 2003 hurt, and
for whatever reason, over the years, I guess the stadium wasn't reopened.
It's really hard to say. Everybody got their own opinions on it. So you know what? Give or take.
It's a bit political in the town, I guess.
It was political. I don't think it's so much that anymore now.
But it's back. And for these students, sure beats math class. Garrett Berry, CBC News, Badger.
Well, now to some disappointing news about who won't be on the ice. Ryan Clough is no longer head coach of the Growlers. According to Toronto Leafs management, Clough is stepping down for medical reasons. The Newfoundlander first stepped away from the ECHL team last fall, and that was for health reasons related to those were rather unknown. He was named head coach of the Growlers last June after 2 years as an assistant with the New Jersey Devils. His career as a pro hockey player ended in 2015, and that end was due to concussion-related injuries. The Growlers say Clough will remain within the Leafs organization in a role that has yet to be determined. Assistant coach John Snowden will step into Clough's former position. Well, it was just a normal night at home when the province's latest lotto winners realized their newfound fortune.
Yes, Evelyn Byrne was in the kitchen making supper when Jim Dyke scratched his Set for Life ticket. 2, 3. Woo! 3 Set for Life symbols showed up under his coin. He says Evelyn didn't believe him at first, going as far as calling him a liar, until they flipped the ticket over and reread the instructions on the back. And that's when it clicked.
So then I took her and gave her a big kiss. She took the ticket. She's dancing around the house for about 10 minutes because we're having macaroni and tomato and cheese. And she's going for 10 minutes, and I'm half worried she's going to croak at me before we get to spend the money.
So Evelyn, you were dancing around in the kitchen
with my macaroni in my hand from the kitchen to the living room. And the best feed of macaroni and tomato cheese I had in my life. Honest, I could not believe it.
No, Evelyn says that winning kiss that Jim planted on her was the best one she'd gotten in 10 years. I'm not sure if that was the lotto win or the macaroni, but something's working.
Well, the couple plans to take the $675,000 lump sum. They're going to buy a vehicle, they're going to renovate their home in St. John's, and travel around the province.
Congratulations.
In this museum, they're going to be covering some of the things that we're doing today.
A military museum opens at 5-Wing Goose Bay Base.
There's a royal gem inside. Stay tuned to find out.
This weather forecast is brought to you by Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism. 5,000 kilometers of groomed trails are waiting to be explored. Embrace winter today.
Yeah, still kind of smiling about that couple that won the Set for Life for the best feed of macaroni that they'd had in a long time.
That was good.
Remember that Bare Naked Ladies too. Now they can have macaroni, they can just have more of it.
Right?
So
Absolutely.
It was a great story. Anyhow.
It was.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
what are we facing?
Yeah.
Warm temperatures. That's what going to be very different from what we're seeing right now.
She hates the snow.
I know, and you live in St. John's.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to all the people out there who love the snow.
It's because she's wise and knows that on the Avalon, at least, snow is always followed by slush.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not like the West Coast and Labrador where you can play.
Well, except for today, I guess, because we're going to see that snow transition to rain as we head through the night tonight. We're starting to get into more of that southerly flow. You can see those temperatures down along the south coast already up above zero. And we'll going to see those temperatures climb even more so as we head through the night tonight. So taking a look at that satellite and radar, you can see we're already seeing that transition over to those pinks, which is either freezing rain or ice pellets. And that will continue to transition further north as we head through the night tonight. So here's a look at your temperatures by the time tomorrow morning rolls around, between 5 and 7 degrees, and then we'll continue to rise even a couple of more degrees potentially into the afternoon hours. So we're seeing that transition down through the south. We'll continue to see that up through St. Anthony towards the early morning hours, and that's the same for parts of the Avalon as well. Now, southeast winds for the northeast coast tonight, gusting somewhere between 50 and 70 kilometers per hour. Along the west coast, those winds will be quite significantly stronger, so gusting between 80 to 110 kilometers per hour for exposed areas through the night tonight, and those winds will quickly ease as we head towards the morning hours, under warning criteria, but still stay quite strong through the day tomorrow. So Labrador City sitting at -12 through the overnight tonight, northeast winds near 40 kilometers per hour. But look at this, -1 by the time tomorrow morning rolls around for Happy Valley Goose Bay. The Straits, going to see that temperature above 0 by morning. And then Cartwright sitting at about -1. So here's a look at the future tracker. We can see that transition through the night tonight. All snow up through Labrador at least through tonight, and then tomorrow morning we'll start to see that transition for the southeastern portion of the coast, and then heavy rain at times through the night tonight across Newfoundland, making its way towards the Avalon into the afternoon. But then in behind it, everything clears out, so that's definitely good news. We'll see some periods of sun through the day tomorrow, and then in behind that, some lingering flurries along the west coast. So here's a look at the warnings right now. Snowfall warnings up through Labrador along the west coast. Again, those wind warnings with those gusts between 100 and 110 kilometers per hour. And then a rainfall warning for Port aux Basques as well as Burgeo tonight. We're looking at somewhere between 30 to 40 millimeters of rain in those areas. So here's a look at the forecast for tomorrow. Now, as far as temperatures go along the west coast, that peak will be in the morning, and then we'll see those temperatures drop down to about -1 by the afternoon. Same for Port aux Basques. Otherwise, those temperatures sitting between 5 and 8 degrees for the rest of the island. And then up through Labrador, I have 3 degrees for Happy Valley Goose Bay. Now you're right on the cusp of where we're going to see either warmer temperatures or those below 0 temperatures. So any shift in that track may change this temperature, but a good bet we'll see temperatures in the single digits along the coast as well. Lab City at -12, hanging on to that chance of flurries. So here's a look at the precipitation that I'm thinking. 10 to 15 centimeters for Lab City, a swath of between 15 to 25 centimeters where we have those warnings, and then otherwise it's that rain. So 10 to 20 millimeters along the west and south coast, including the southern Avalon. Otherwise, you're looking at a good 5 to 10 millimeters of rain. So let's look at your forecast. I'll have a little extended when we come back in a little bit.
Well, Ashley mentioned a bit of rain possibly in Happy Valley Goose Bay. Maybe a chance to go inside a museum. CFB Goose Bay's history is back on display. First built for aircraft flying to Britain during the Second World War, the base has recently updated its military museum.
Yeah, needless to say, a lot has taken place in its 76-year history, and the new museum is there to tell those stories.
So the design process, when we hired a company from Quebec to do the design, we sat down with them for quite a few hours to come up with an idea of how we wanted to tell the story of the Goose Bay and how we wanted to be a self-guided tour, and to make sure that we include many of the artifacts and all the stories that went along with it. So this propeller is from a Lockheed A-28 Hudson. It was an American aircraft, and it crashed a number of miles away from Goose Bay, just to show some of the turmoil and the diversity of the aircraft that came and gone, but just the hardships that the aircraft had to fly in and out of in Goose Bay back in the years. So the gentleman up in the upper right-hand corner is Captain Elliott Roosevelt, and he's the son of President Roosevelt from the United States. So he had done the engineering layout for the airfield itself. Prince Philip's been here 3 times to Goose Bay, visiting for one thing or another. So we actually found his autograph from one of the guest books from 1966.
Well, as soon as I seen it, it brought back so many memories being a student at Goose High School. So I had to get a picture with it. Brought back so many memories. And how many people actually went through even these 2 schools that are listed here, St. Michael's School and Goose High, hundreds and hundreds. So it's important to keep the history of our base and our community in the forefront.
As many people will say, you need to consider the past to understand the present and then make sure that you're well set up for the future. I really do hope that in 15, 20 years, they're going to be in this museum, they're going to be covering some of the things that we're doing today, right? Yeah. So that's what, all about history being written today.
For me, where I started work here in Goose Bay while the Allies were here in full force, it's definitely things like the German Air Force Phantoms and the Dutch F-16s. And I was doing a lot of flying up here, actually, in their low-level training area. So watching these things pass underneath you while you were flying along in a helicopter brings back exciting memories. Now look, it's an incredibly varied and rich history here from an aviation and military perspective. So somebody can come in here completely new to the area and leave with a keen knowledge and hopefully an interest and an excitement about what went on and what continues to go on here.
So much of what you see in the room and around you right now are people who've lived it, experienced it, and are very proud of the fact that they've had a part in it. And to see, I'm just walking by and people are pointing out their father, a relative that they didn't know when the base was being built, and that's pretty exciting. Yeah. History's still going on, so I look forward to future exhibits showing us new roles for the wing and seeing that displayed.
It's a restaurant, a bar, a virtual reality arcade, bowling alley. It's all going in here. The Rec Room is going to make a very different night at the movies in St. John's. And coming up, you'll get your first look inside.
Welcome back to Here Now. A night at the movies in St. John's will soon include a lot more possibility. Cineplex is getting close to opening its new restaurant and entertainment center in the Avalon Mall. Now, it's called the Rec Room, and as CBC's Zach Gowdy is about to show you, it's a step up from the arcades of yesteryear.
If you've been to the Avalon Mall lately, you'll know one of the big changes around here is this. The Rec Room is a huge Cineplex-owned restaurant and entertainment center. It's replacing the old arcade. It's been under construction for almost a year, and today we're getting our first look inside. In the business world, they call it eatertainment. Food, drinks, and gaming all under one roof. The Rec Room is already operating in 4 Canadian cities. The St. John's location is scheduled to open in April. Wow, there is a lot going on here.
There sure is. There is so much going on, and you know, the first thing that you really need to know about is when you first arrive at guest services, we make sure that we get you one of these. Ooh. And this is a game band. This is an RFID-enabled game band. And you can put points on here, which you use for all the game experiences throughout the yard.
So no like paper tickets from the machine?
Gone are the days of the coin-operated arcade games. So this is a key component of the Rec Room concept. Entertainment doesn't just mean games, it also means live entertainment.
So this is a stage?
It sure is, and we angled it so that you can actually see it from across the entire yard and throughout the restaurant. That includes trivia, name that tune, live band karaoke, lots of really fun stuff that we program on a weekly basis. We've also got live sports talks, cabaret, comedy. It just really depends on what is available in terms of local talent, as well as what the local interest is.
Okay, so now we're getting into something special.
Yeah, absolutely. These feature attractions are key to the Rec Room experience. And this is 4 lanes of 10-pin bowling.
Wow.
I know, right? And I'll tell you, we do not have bowling and axe throwing in every single location, so this is pretty special. We really wanted to make sure that we had a totally immersive entertainment experience. This is a one-stop shop for fun. It's over 30,000 square feet of fun. And you want to come here with a group of friends and all do different things, we've got it for you. So we've got axe throwing, bowling, we've got virtual reality. VR Studios, an incredible virtuality experience that's also going to be one of our feature attractions. Well, we're really invested in St. John's. With 2 theaters here already in the community, we really thought it was a fantastic place to bring this concept to life. We also had this unique opportunity to be located at Avalon Mall. Being close to the action and having this be so accessible was really important to us, so we just can't wait to open.
Okay, last stop, I'm on the way out. What happens here?
Well, this is the best part, really. You can use your points to redeem for some awesome prizes.
The points, the prizes.
I know, right? You can keep your points and rack them up. We even saw people over December using them for Christmas presents.
So I don't know how many points I racked up on this tour, but can I keep this hat?
Yeah, you sure can. You can take it home with you.
That's a great prize. Looking forward to seeing this place open. Thank
Likewise.
you so much for the tour.
Thanks so much.
Well, the St. John's International Women's Film Festival has been included in a top 10 list of festivals around the world by USA Today.
I love looking at the article, scrolling through, and it's like this celebrity, and oh look, it's us.
Most of the festivals on the list are in the United States. 1 is in Scotland and 2 in Canada, one of which is St. John's. Executive Director Jen Brown says this recognition comes at an exciting time as the festival is about to celebrate its 30th anniversary this fall. Today, she spoke about how the international publicity could give a boost to this year's event.
I mean, obviously thrilled and so excited. At the same time, it's that kind of modesty where even though it's such a big deal, at the same time we're like, yeah, of course we are. Like, you know, not only are you going to come here for this amazing film festival that's been around for 30 years, but as, you know, if you're looking at a tourist and as a trip, come see amazing films, meet great filmmakers, meet some of the best industry players, and then being able to pitch, okay, so we're on the water, there's this kind of castle, you can go hiking if you're into food, music, art, culture, if you want to shop, like, here's your trip. So we get so many people over the years who come every single year because of that reason. It's a bit of an easy sell. So it's nice to kind of see that formalized because, you know, people need no excuse to come here. But now to really promote it in that other way is really exciting for us.
How do you think you got on the radar for USA Today? Because a lot of those festivals on there are in major centers. We're in a kind of a tiny corner of the world tucked away. How do you think you got on the radar?
Well, I think really, to be honest, the filmmakers we screen are from around the world. I think after 3 decades, we've also screened some of the biggest Canadian and lots of international artists. And really, I'd say like over the last 5 years in particular, the reputation and the quality of work that's been coming out here, it's spread. And I think after this long, people are getting really excited about it. But it's because of St. John's. People come here and, you know, we're far away. We're a little island in the North Atlantic. The direct flight to, you know, Europe is certainly a help. But then also people realizing that it's worth it. Like, not only is it worth it as a filmmaker, but if you want to come here and experience really like a destination festival, St. John's is it. And people just, the amount of letters and cards and thank yous we receive every year from people who are like, what is this magical place? Like, people were so kind to me, and I met all these strangers, and I had fun, and we went hiking, and we, you know, like had this huge feast in the gut, and then we went to Cape Spear, and just people don't, this is a pretty magical space, and I think the people really are the reason why we were created in the first place, why we've lasted for 30 years, and why, you know, people just fall in love with Newfoundland.
And 30 years is a long time, and it actually makes note of that in the article, as this festival being one of the longest running festivals in the world.
Yeah, so we're technically the second longest running women's film festival. Number 1 is a couple months older than us, which is I know, right? And that says a lot, you know, the fact that one of the longest running women's film festivals, it wasn't started it's not from Paris, it's not even in Toronto, you know, like it's not this big center where people would expect it. Which again is really curious, you know, it's like, what about the artists in Newfoundland and Labrador? What about this island, this province? What's about those people? Like, why did those people make it, and how did they make it last for so long? That's amazing.
Do you think that this article will make a difference to the attendance coming up in the fall?
Definitely. We're doing something right, but how can we keep doing that? So it's a really, and with this article that came out, really good momentum. It's really inspiring, it's more encouraging, and especially now, ramping up to the 30th, we're really excited and planning some really big things. So we're just pumped to share with everyone.
It's about people's daily life. It's about the things that matter to them. So I wouldn't discount a by-election.
As voters cast a ballot in the Topsail Paradise by-election,
we look at what's at stake for the 3 main political parties with a provincial election on the horizon in 2019. Voters are picking a new MHA tonight in the district of Topsail Paradise. Candidates from the three parties hitting the frosty campaign trail, going door knocking and banging in signs, all in an effort to convince voters why they should vote for them and their parties. But does this by-election really matter? We're all heading to the polls in a general election sometime this year. Maybe tonight's result will have an effect on that. It's time now for the talk. Voters are picking a new MHA tonight, as I just mentioned, in Topsail Paradise. And we decided to bring some people together to talk about this. Three people who know the game of politics and public policy. Liberal Cabinet Minister Jerry Byrne, official opposition critic Keith Hutchings, and also we have Mona Rossiter, who was a candidate in a campaign against this guy, I think. It's
Fairland District.
And Mona is also on the NDP's executive. Thanks for coming in. Mr. Hutchings, you represent the incumbent tonight. How important is this by-election?
I think it's important overall, generally. I mean, this is the third by-election in the past little while. We've been successful in the first two. Certainly looking for a good result tonight in the third by-election, leading into the fourth year of a mandate of the current administration. I think it bodes very well for us. Our new leader, Ches Crosby, is in place. We're looking forward to a good result tonight.
Right, and obviously he'd like to wake up tomorrow saying that he's had three in a row. Mr. Byrne, for the Liberals, we're heading into an election. How important is tonight?
Well, for the people of Topsail Paradise, it has to be important. It is important. This is their democratic say, so we can never minimize or trivialize what any election is. But this is a by-election, and I know that what this election is and how it's important, but I also know, Anthony, what it's not. This cannot be construed or projected to be an overall plebiscite of the entire province. It should not. Otherwise, those who would suggest that would also say that if there's a future by-election, then the upcoming general election would be based on the results of the next by-election. You know, that's a little bit oversimplistic.
So we shouldn't read too much into tonight?
I think what we should read into this is that this is held by, it's an incumbent, a seat for the PCs. This is caused by the fact that a former PC premier resigned from the PC caucus, resigned his seat, and it caused a by-election, which is natural and normal. But what we should also infer from all of this is that one seat is important, and it's especially important for the people of Topsail Paradise.
All right. It sounds to me, Ms. Rossiter, as though Mr. Byrne suggesting the Tories might have some depth in that district. For the NDP, not a bad showing in Virginia Waters, the last by-election. What about tonight?
Well, I think this is going to be a tough nut for us to crack because we haven't had strength there. But for us, it's important to have an NDP candidate there, and so that people have the opportunity to vote NDP should they want to. So I think by-elections and politics is important. It's about people's daily life. It's about the things that matter to them. So I wouldn't discount a by-election, but I think a general election is going to be really where we'll find out the truth.
Okay, and obviously I think from an organizational point of view for all three of you and your parties, tonight, if nothing else, is a chance to flex the organizational muscle of each of your political institutions. Let me ask you this. Some innuendo, possibly because we're also facing a federal election, that Premier Ball might decide to go early. We don't know that for a fact. Does tonight, despite what you said, Mr. Byrne, if Dwight Ball were to lose tonight, wouldn't that sort of say, oh, maybe we should wait? On the other hand, if he wins, maybe he wants to go early.
We have fixed election dates in this province.
Yes, but there's a few escape hatches to that.
There certainly are, and that was by design of the PC administration that drafted and put that bill before the House. And so we will abide by the Elections Act and the fixed election date. Now, it is true. What you just said is very true, which is there is a federal general election, which is scheduled for statutorily deadlined for the middle of the provincial election. So might there be some changes? You know, we'll wait and see when the federal election is going to occur. But as we know, the head of the PC party has already pronounced that he wants a change to this.
All right. Mr. Hutchings, what's your sense? Is the PC, the people ready to fight in the trenches? Is your sense we might have an early election, or are you trying to prepare for both? Because it would seem to me, tactically, if Premier Ball decides I'm going to see Judy Foote get the okay for an election, that would catch Ches Crosby, a relatively new leader, off guard. There's a tactical advantage.
I would think so. I mean, as Mr. Byrne has indicated, there's a legislative requirement here when the election date is. That's fixed. We work towards that, but certainly we're also preparing for the fact that there could be a quick election called. Either way, since Jess Crosby has come in and working with the party and with caucus and with our membership, we've started a process to, if there is a quick election call, that we're ready for that. And we're also ready for an election that we call in the fall, and we can lay out to the people of the province what Jess Crosby and our party's view is moving forward for the next 4 years, which
Right.
I think will be quite different from what we've seen for the current administration.
But if you lose tonight, isn't that a big sort of wall into the Crosby momentum to the extent that there is any?
Well, we've had momentum to date, so we're not thinking about a loss tonight. It could happen. Who knows? The people of the district will speak, but we're looking for a good result tonight. If it doesn't work in our favour, we're still moving ahead, and we still think we have momentum from what we're hearing from people on the ground.
And if I suggest the Conservatives aren't ready for all the districts, what about the NDP? Is the party actually in a position to find candidates for all the districts if we go early?
Well, you know, we've already started election planning. We started in 2018 because, I mean, I think everybody can see that the Liberal government that we have is playing politics when they're going to call the elections. So we want to be prepared. We have an early readiness date set to be ready for the spring. So whenever that election's called, and we're already getting our candidates in place. So, and I just wish we wouldn't be looking at politics as such a game, you know. So, you know, one party is going to play a game with the other party and leave everybody flat-footed and not ready for an election. I don't think that's fair to the voter. I think we should kind of get on with making sure the voter knows when the election is, have a fair competition for all three parties, and let the voter decide.
That'll happen in the course of a general election where you lay
Yeah.
out your various policies. All right,
Yeah.
quick last question for you tonight. Who's going to win?
Oh, I think the winner will be the people's choice. That is always the case. So what I have always experienced, Anthony, when you arrogantly, in advance of the close of an election, that you pronounce who the winner is, that does not bode well for your character. So you know what I always say very simply, the right choice will be made because it'll be the people's choice.
I think Paul Dinn has run a great campaign. I've been on the ground with him, knocking on doors. It's been a good campaign. We have, who knows, the electors will decide tonight who their choice is going to be, but we're confident in our candidate.
Right. I know social media, a lot of Liberal cabinet ministers over the weekend. It might be a closer result than perhaps some of us think.
Could possibly.
For the NDP, what do you hope to accomplish tonight?
Well, we want to make sure that that the voters out there had an opportunity to vote NDP. We'd like to see, you know, an increase in voter turnout for the NDP, and we did a really good campaign, we feel, and got our message out, and also listened to the concerns of the people in the area.
Right.
So that's important to us because we learn a lot and take it back to getting ready for the general election.
And whoever wins tonight will be doing this again, maybe in the spring, maybe in the fall, and you two at least, and who knows, maybe Mona will be back in this. Listen, thank you very much for your time and your analysis. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great to share your company.
Well, as you heard earlier, the stadium in Badger is open. Here's how it looked back in 2003. Remember that, when ice overtook the town during a flood and flash freeze?
That flood damaged the stadium beyond repair. We dig into those archives ahead after Ashley's forecast.
14 years ago, I had a brain aneurysm, and within a week, I had a stroke.
We're checking back in with people who have overcome some major life challenges.
At the age of 36, I had to get better.
This is My Story, a new series with segments every 2 weeks on Here and Now.
This is my story.
Debbie Maloney, coming up on January 30th.
This weather update is brought to you by Beltone, helping the world hear better.
Welcome back. It's time now to see who our second Weather Whiz Kid Club member is, and that is Sydney Hillier. She is 9 years old from Greens Harbor, and that is her drawing there. Beautiful shot.
Oh, that's great.
I'm trying to figure out, like, what's the medium there? Like, that is...
Paint?
Is it?
Looks like
It's
paint.
paint on
But is it on a screen?
Canvas,
or
it
is
looks like.
canvas, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep,
Nice texture and colors. Great job.
And there Sydney is there. So.
Setting a pretty high bar for other whiz kids. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So you're going to get a postcard in the mail as soon as they arrive.
Excellent.
Yeah, and we'll do another one as we into next week for sure.
Great.
Excellent. So keep sending them.
Yes, please keep sending them to nlphotos@cbc.ca. Include your town, your age, a picture of you, and then your drawing as well.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, so we're getting so close to the weekend. How are things looking?
Well, after we see this rain tomorrow, things will actually start to clear out. So if you take a look at the future tracker for the day on Saturday, it looks pretty nice. Looks like a mix of sun and cloud. We might see some flurries, though, along the west coast through the afternoon. We could see some cloudy periods through most of the island as well, and with this, can't rule out the chance of a few flurries. But overall, we should see the sun peek out at some point during the day, and then into the evening hours again, we will clear out through the overnight, and then into Monday or rather into Sunday, doesn't look too bad either. So here's a look at the forecast. Those temperatures are going to drop down back to around, well, it's still above seasonal for this time of year, but hovering around the 0 degree mark or just a little bit above for most of the island. Again, can't rule out that chance of a few flurries through the afternoon. And then up through Labrador, return to well below seasonal for Lab City, -25, and then seasonal temperatures as we head towards Happy Valley, Goose Bay with plenty of sunshine. The Straits and Cartwright, or at least coastal Labrador, are going to see those temperatures hovering around the minus single digits and then minus double digits as we head a little bit further north. So taking a look ahead overnight, Saturday into Sunday, things, as I mentioned, can't rule out the chance of a few flurries, but into the afternoon, same thing. Generally fair skies, the story up through Labrador. And then as we head into Monday, that's when the next system moves in. We're going to see snow with this, and then for the Avalon and essentially eastern Newfoundland is where we can see that potential to mix over through to rain again overnight. And then into Tuesday, we'll see a return of those colder temperatures. That snow is actually going to linger up through Labrador into Tuesday, with some strong winds as well, so we could see some blowing snow through the afternoon. So here's a look at your 5-day forecast. Tomorrow, about 5 millimeters of rain on the way for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. And then late day and through the overnight, we're going to see those temperatures drop down below 0, so we could see that potential for some freezing drizzle. And then Saturday, slight chance of a few flurries. There should be above 0, though, at 1 degree, and then drop down for Sunday with that sunshine in the forecast, -4. Now, Monday, snow again transitioning to rain as that temperature jumps right back up again to about 4 degrees. And then Tuesday, we'll see that temperature dip back down, but it looks like sunshine is in the forecast. So for central Newfoundland, not a whole lot as far as rain goes, 2, maybe 4 millimeters in the morning, and then that sun should peak out. Saturday, a return of that potential for some flurry. Same thing into Sunday as that temperature drops, and then that snow moves in, but mild at 0 degrees. Tuesday looking at -3. For western Newfoundland, we're looking at rain ending and then seeing that potential for flurries tomorrow night. That temperature is actually going to drop to about -1 in the afternoon. Otherwise, we're looking at sunshine as we head towards Saturday. And then eastern Labrador, Tomorrow, 3 degrees potentially, and then dipping down into the minus teens as we head into Saturday and Sunday. So quite a significant temperature change there. And then western Labrador looking about minus 12 tomorrow. Wind chill still feeling closer to minus 31, but sunshine the story for both Saturday and Sunday, and with that, a return of those cooler temperatures. So let's look at your forecast. I'll have your weather photo when I come back.
The sound of winter fun is back in Badger. The stadium has reopened for the first time in about a decade with a natural ice surface.
The stadium was first severely damaged in 2003 during the Badger flood, and it was written off because of the ice damage then. Now, there was an attempt to revive it a few years later with a natural ice surface, but that didn't last. And for years, the rink just sat idle.
The Badger flood also destroyed the town hall, the fire department, and dozens of homes, and forced the 1,200 residents to flee the town.
Now, with that stadium reopening, we decided to go back into our archives, as we sometimes do, and to take you back to Badger in February of 2003.
Here's a report from former CBC reporter Kevin Harvey.
While there may be signals of hope, it may still be months before people will be allowed back into their homes. Today, some people were able to survey the damage or just prepare for a lengthy stay away.
I'll come and get some belongings, because they don't expect to get back before June anyhow.
So this is your trade? Your young fella?
That's my young fella, yeah.
Yes.
That's mine.
And the car?
Car, that's my buddy's.
But Scott Luscombe is putting it all in perspective.
This place and this area can be replaced. Your family cannot.
His house frozen in time. His basement full of water. No heat, no electricity. He left so fast the breakfast dish is now frozen in the sink. His daughter was getting ready to play hockey.
Where's he going?
I got my keyboard and everything in there, see?
Here's the biggest problem. It's ice.
Stephanie Green's a little bit luckier. She has no basement. The only water came from sewer that backed up. The electrical system is still working.
Okay, here she goes. Okay, we got power.
The thermostat's over there.
But she knows it will be months before it will be livable again.
Well, there's really not much we can do about it. We just gotta wait until we can, get back, and we're just gonna have to be content where we are right now.
While some were able to have a look at their homes, many still won't be able to until the water recedes. Then people will find out when or if they will be able to move back home.
Well, here's a look at your weather photo of the day. Beautiful shot there. I love those cotton candy skies in the wintertime.
Yeah. Now, snow hater Stokes over here probably hates this picture.
She can hate it.
No, it looks beautiful.
Pair of skis, a skidoo, a horse, a sleigh. Come on. We have to convert her, actually.
I'll work on it.
I like warm temperatures. What can I say?
That's fair. I'll tell you where this photo was taken and who took it when we come back.
Park.
And so here we are. Yes, no one's checking their phones during breaks or any
Chatting about the weather in Bannerman Park.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, take a look at the weather photo that we had. There it is there. Beautiful shot. Any idea where it is? You didn't guess before.
No.
Is that a cabin I see down there by the trail?
It
There's
is,
a house or something, right?
You can see the moon slightly in the sky there.
Codroy Valley.
No. It's
No,
up in
up there.
Labrador. It's actually Makovic.
Nice.
Way up there.
Way up there. Beautiful shot there. Thank you so much for sending this photo in, Julia. We love this. That literally is my most perfect winter scene, I think.
It does look pretty perfect.
Yeah.
Nice,
See
calm.
the temperature reading.
Oh,
One
I'm sure it
thing
was
is,
chilly.
When it's beautiful and sunny in Labrador, it's often, minus, what's your phrase? Whatever. It's like
Minus
minus
whatever.
75 or something like that. But so long as you're dressed for it, you can actually play in that.
Absolutely, you can.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, and enjoy those cotton candy skies. So if you have any weather photos that you'd like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca. We'd love to see them, and I will try and get them on the show.
Well, it's hard to believe that this is up. One more show tomorrow.
Yeah, Friday.
Felt like it was just Monday yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, the week did go by pretty quickly, I think.
We'll see you then.
Good night.
Good night.